before we dive into conflict management in relationships and what it looks like, let's all get clear on the difference between conflict management and conflict resolution. So I've got this empty plastic bottle here with some holes in it, and I want you to imagine that this lovely colored water here is conflict. Now, as I fill the bottle up with water, you can imagine what is going to happen. Water is going to go everywhere. But now I have to scramble to fix it because water's going everywhere and might get the laptop wet. This was clearly a terrible idea for an analogy. That is conflict resolution. It's about finding a solution to a problem, finding a way to resolve an issue, preferably in a way that benefits everyone. It's a response after the fact. Conflict management is like me filling up the same bottle of water, but stopping right before it goes out and makes a mess everywhere. Now, it might not be perfect, there's going to be some spillage, but I am managing the conflict. I'm stopping before that water gets everywhere, and I'm not going to let it get to a point where it gets messy and I'm up all night cleaning the floors. If you don't know me, my name is Oliver and I'm a relationship therapist here in Los Angeles. I work with a lot of couples and help them with conflict management and conflict resolution. I've actually got a course on this whole topic on mypeoplepatterns.com, and if you're curious about finding out more about what that course is about, you should start by taking the free conflict style quiz. I'll put the link below, and then I'll tell you a bit more about the course and what it involves. All right, so conflict in a romantic relationship can either make the bond stronger or cause some serious damage and ultimately leads to couples breaking up. When you have healthy disagreements, though, it opens up lines of communication and usually leads to better solutions than what you had to start with. And it can actually lead to people feeling more close and more connected. But if you can't get past your differences or have dysfunctional ways of dealing with conflict, it can mess up your whole emotional connection and the growth of your relationship. The problem is that in relationships, we hate talking about disagreements. And I find that in my practice with couples, they either deal with disagreements and issues as they pop up or wait until they just can't be ignored anymore. The problem with the wait and see approaches is that they don't really work because they let frustrations build up over time. And that makes it hard to change how you see the other person and rebuild trust. And so if you're not managing conflict and you're not resolving conflict, then hurt feelings never really get a chance to heal and they remain sort of festering away in the form of resentment and emotional distance. Healthy conversations, even disagreements, are all about balancing out thoughts, feelings, self, and other. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll be sick of this, but I swear it's a thing and it's really important. And if you're curious about what the hell this means, there's a free course on differentiation of self on mypeoplepatterns.com. Check it out. So conflict management in relationships, what does it look like? Well, it's about 5 very simple conversations that you and your partner need to have to truly understand each other and understand your differences. So these are the way we look, the way we act. That's to do with self and others, or the way we perceive ourselves and the way others perceive us. Speak, that's to do with the balance of how we communicate our thoughts and feelings. And obviously, think and feel is to do with thoughts and feelings. Now, putting in the time for these 5 conversations at the start of a relationship might seem like a lot, but it really is worth it for any couple, whether you're just starting out or you've been together for years. You really don't need any special training to lead these talks. You just dive in. I've got all of the questions for you ready to go. So in this video, I'm going to run through some of these conversations. And if you want all of them, sorry, I'm going to put them in the Conflict Compass course, which you can get on mypeoplepatterns.com. So let's start with looks. In conflict management, we need to have a conversation about the way we look. Kinda. In any relationship, we often quickly make up our minds about other people's personalities, intentions, just based on a tiny bit of interaction. And researchers at Harvard have called this the thin slices of judgment. It's a way that our brains make things more efficient, but it's often filled with errors. So these quick decisions are usually swayed by small things like how someone looks, their body language, how they talk, their tone of voice, their facial expressions. So if I started this video with my arms crossed, mumbling into the microphone, you probably wouldn't really be watching right now. But I'm trying to be animated and use my arms to keep you involved and trying to show you that I'm open and somewhat approachable, hopefully. So in this first conversation, the goal here is to get partners to think about how they want to be seen by their significant other and how they might actually be coming across. So a good place to start is talking about, when do you think I'm in a good mood, or when do you think I'm in a bad mood? What do you see about me? What do I do when I seem unapproachable? When I come home from work, what are the signs that I've had a really bad day? What are the signs that I'm in a really good mood and you can come talk to me about anything? When do I appear to you to be most open and welcoming, ready for a deep and meaningful conversation? How does my body language communicate to you that I'm in a space where you can approach me seriously and I've got the energy to listen to you attentively? And can you tell me what the signs are in your head that show you that I'm frustrated or need some time to myself? What are the subtle cues that indicate to you that I need space to myself or a moment to cool off? How can we better read each other's nonverbal signals to enhance our communication and connection? Right, so you're going to be getting a lot of feedback here. And the idea is that we're going to get the feedback, listen to the answers, and that's going to help us not to make assumptions. We're going to get really clear on what we make up in our heads and what is real about the other person. And at the same time, we're getting feedback on our own behaviors, which we may or may not know that is giving our partner information as to our mental states. Conversation number 2 is all about acting. So behavioral norms and expectations. Sometimes we forget when we're in a relationship that our significant other comes from an entirely different background. Now, sometimes they come from an entirely different culture and country, but we're different. And as a result, sometimes the way that you both act can clash, leading to a lot of misunderstandings and even conflict. So small gestures like an eye roll can be taken the wrong way by someone who has a very different experience with eye rolling than you. Maybe a more tangible example is time. Are you the sort of person that is like me, really needs to be at the airport 3 hours before that international flight takes off? Or are you that sort of person that thinks it's more of a suggestion and are happy to wing it through security lines? I'll do another video on that. So people have their own views on being punctual and sticking to plans. For some people, being on time shows you respect the other person, you're committed, while other people are more laid back about time. And the difference between the two can lead to big blow-ups. How we behave around time and what we think about time can really make a difference in our communication and conflict. So how assertive you are can also be a tricky area too. In some cultures or for some personalities, taking charge is seen as a good thing, but for others, it comes across as being pushy. Another example is expectations about support and what you put into the relationship. So some people might want their partners to always be there to help them and support them, while others might prefer to handle things on their own and appreciate space. But if you don't talk about these things, it could lead to a lot of feelings of being neglected, and that leads to resentment and more conflict. So some of the questions you might ask each other are, in our relationship, how do you feel about being on time and sticking to our plans? How do you feel about punctuality? What do you think personal space is? What do you think my needs around personal space are when I'm upset or angry? How do you decide if you're going to take charge or not? How do we balance supporting each other and giving each other enough space to be independent? How do we talk about what we need and expect from each other to avoid getting the wrong idea? Number 3, speaking. So communication in a relationship is so complicated when you really think about it. Just consider how much goes in on an unconscious level to what we're talking about. So it's about how open you are, how your sense of humor plays into it, how you react to pauses in a conversation, or how you react when somebody cuts you off. There's an infinite amount of room for misunderstandings, especially if you're from a different culture or speak different languages. But even if you both speak the same language fluently and are both from the same town, you come from different families. And that means that the way that you express yourself can be really, really different. So if you left me a comment below asking me to make another video on conflict resolution, which you are more than welcome to do on any subject for that matter, and I wrote back, sure, what would you do with that? Sure could mean literally anything, from maybe to sure, I'll give it a shot, to sure, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, or sure as in no, I don't want to. Depending on the situation, the culture, and the person, sure means a hell of a lot of different things. And how would you know what it meant? I loathe the word sure, and I'm much more in favor of direct communication. So a yes or no is much better for me. What about I'll be home by 8 p.m.? Does that mean I will absolutely be home by 8 p.m.? Or does it mean I'll try and be home by 8 p.m.? Or does it mean 8 p.m. is a goal, but if something else comes up, I'll be later? I think we're talking about integrity. Do you say what you mean and mean what you say, or do you just say things and kind of mean it? Then there's issues when we try and put an emphasis on looking after the other person's feelings rather than our own. When we prioritize other over self, it might mean, for example, that I might be afraid of you and I might not tell the truth because I'm afraid you'll overreact. Or it might mean I want to put a positive spin on something to keep you happy versus telling you the truth. So the questions that you want to ask yourselves in this talking area are things like, in our relationship, does a promise mean we're definitely going to do something, or is it more like we're hoping to do it? What is more important to you, being straight up or keeping things smooth? Do you like it when I use sarcasm, or does it just cause more confusion? Do you think it's okay to interrupt me, or do you think it's okay when I interrupt you, or is that just rude? Does being quiet mean that I'm thinking, or that I'm just not interested in what you're saying? Should we be talking about our problems right away, or or wait until there's a time to talk about it later? And if that's the case, then how do we bring that up? Are you cool with me giving you advice even when you don't ask for it, or would you rather I just listen? Those were some of the conversations you need to have in order to get ahead of conflict in your relationship. These are all going to help you with conflict management. What to do when disagreements occur rather than the drama of conflict resolution, which is what happens when conflict is leaking out all over the place and it's too late and you've just got a mess to clean up. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Please check out the conflict style quiz. And of course, if you like this, hit follow, subscribe, leave me a comment. And if you really want me to make a video about something of your choice, I'll do it. Sure, I'll do that. No, seriously, leave me a message. And if I can, I will.